Good morning, you guys. I don't know if y'all heard me fumbling around back here. Let me see. 1 minute. Let me get finished getting situated. If you are online with me, let me know in the comments. So I'm like, you'll probably hear me in the background, really still trying to get ready. I'm normally a morning person, even though I wasn't back in the day. I'm a morning person now. So I don't like really need to set an alarm. Like during the week, I'll set one, but I'm up like normally hours, unfortunately, before it even goes up. I end up like turning it off. So of course on Saturdays, I definitely don't set an alarm. Y'all, this morning I straight overslept like nobody's business. So that's why I'm like kind of hustle bustle. And then y'all, I realized when I took my scarf off, I had to hurry up and slick a ponytail down because y'all know those hot flashes. So my hair was basically like um just a poof. It was a poof. Like I had never wrapped it. It was just like a straight poof. So I tried to like slick it down this morning and put a little scarf on it. While I was Jordan spent the night, so I was making her some eggs and toast, trying to hurry up before it was 10 o'clock. I took that scarf off and my hair was looking at me like, so what we doing? Oh, you gonna just walk around like this today? Good morning, D. And so literally 9:58, I had to run upstairs, like put a little water on, put some gel on, and just brush it hecka hard. And then I had time to tie it down. So hopefully it won't pop up during coffee this morning. Oh, it's okay. Give me 1 second, you guys. Let me just okay. Let's get into coffee and chat this morning. First of all, how are you guys doing? Let me know who's on today. I see D is on. Hey, Susan. All the way from Modesto. You had to throw that in there. You had to throw that in there all the way from Modesto, California. Who else is on? Or maybe they're like on their phone so they can't comment. But thank you all for being here this morning. Um, I got a new edition yesterday evening, 6 p.m., which is why my oldest granddaughter spent the night tonight because now she has a new little brother. So her mom's still at the hospital. So she is here with me and I am here with y'all. So I probably won't be on like super long today. And I want to talk about, can we really have it all? So y'all know I always have another topic in my mind. And then maybe like, a couple days before, it's like, oh no, we're not going to do that topic. We're going to do a different topic. And the reason I thought about this, like I'm always seeing things during the week that just baffle me, but not like in a bad way, like I want to call somebody crazy or like I can't understand how it could happen to someone. Not like that. Just like, what are what? So I was thinking about, and I try not to say things where you would like know who or what, I'm talking about. So I'm just going to say in general, over the last, I'll say year, we have watched a series of women in like high power positions. And I don't want to say fall from grace. I want to say maybe just make a series of bad decisions, right? And it's really leading me to say, even like what's going on with, the economy right now and the layoffs. And, my thing is always, my hope is always going to be in Christ, even no matter how things look in the world and the world system, I just still have to trust that whatever, God has for me and for me to be doing, at whatever time, whether I'm going through a bad time or a good time, it is going to work for my good because that's what his word says. Because I know that I'm called according to his purpose. Like I'm really trying to do the things in my life the way God would have for me to do them. But at the same time, I'm not oblivious to, massive layoffs and, home prices increasing on mortgages where people like thought they were going to be paying one thing for their mortgage. And then either they're in like a condo and their HOAs have skyrocketed, or maybe they had a new build. And when they did their, paperwork, the assessed value of the home was only on the land and not actually on the home. And then when the home got built, they got their next tax bill and it was like a crazy, ridiculous increase. Just all kind of stuff that I've been seeing, and how we as women really do think we can have it all. And I'm here to tell you, you really can't. I mean, unless your all is Christ. Now, you can have it all if you're talking about Jesus. You can have it all. But I think because we looked at generations before us in a good way and a bad way. Hey, good morning. Um, in a good way and a bad way. So we were able to see through our lineage how we, came to America, and then how the family members and ancestors who went before us, the things that they went through in their lives in order for us to be where we are today. And that's why I don't buy into the fact that I can't have, whatever God has for me. Like man can't stop me. Y'all know I say it all the time, but I'm gonna say it again. Man can't stop me. The government can't stop me. The world can't stop me from having anything that God has for me. Only I can stop me if I'm out of his will. So I don't buy into the fact that if I want to achieve something in the corporate world or anywhere else that God has for me, that I need somebody to tell me it's okay for me to have it once God can put the stamp on. But I know because we as a people, and I don't want to get into the race thing because y'all know me, I don't get into all that. Um, were denied education, for instance, um, at a certain point, and were denied access to certain things. But as not only our grandmothers and great grandmothers and grandfathers fought for us to have the same rights as others, we also, I believe, bought into the fact, not just Black women, but women in general, that we really wanted to do everything a man could do, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because when I'm watching these women, like they're climbing these ladders and they're achieving all the success and getting all these degrees. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the degrees. I have them. They don't define me. And I don't make them really a part of who I am. Like I attribute some of the learning that I have to those degrees because I would not be able to, even in some ways, relate to women because of the type of degrees that I chose to pursue have really helped me in that area. Not that God couldn't supernaturally do it, but he also like, okay, listen, do the work. So I did the work. But at the same time, I think we sometimes do all these things in vain or for the wrong reasons. And so I wanted to talk about the root of why we make the pursuits that we do and at what cost. And also, this is the other question I put in the email this week. What is your definition of having it all? So I'm going to break right there. And I'm going to ask you to hop in the comments and tell me like what, like if you're saying like, I want to have it all. I want to have it all. What are you saying? What is your definition? And even if you're listening to this on the replay, what is your definition of having it all? What does that look like for you? What does it look like? I know for me, um, especially early on in my marriage and in my life, because I came from a family of strong women, my having it all was the success really being filtered through me. Not that my husband couldn't bring things to the table too, but I wasn't really dependent on him to be the success because I want to be a success in my own right. And we came up in that era of like I was born in the 70s. And remember, in the 70s was really the 60s prior to me. And the 70s was kind of all about women's empowerment. I think it's gone to a very unhealthy stage in 2025. However, I do understand the suffrage movement. Um, Even though that I'm gonna say it was about women in general, but really we weren't technically like really part of that, but they needed our assistance. I'll put it that way. But I understand equality in the sense of, yes, we got to be able to vote too. We people, and we have to be able to have access to the things that everybody else has access to. Like women want to go to school, want to get an education, want to do those types of things. You have to be able to have access. You can't just deny somebody that access because they're a woman. But I think that we took it to another level. And y'all know I'll be talking about that commercial. I could bring on the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, never, never let you forget you're a man. Cause I'm a woman, actually. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that commercial? But those were the unhealthy things that we were fed. We were kind of fed those. So, okay, hey, Dr. Lily, you said, I no longer believe you have that having it all, but it means having career, husband, kids, influence, etc. Okay, so I'm gonna pop hers up real quick so you guys can read it too. So that is what I'm saying, because yes, I was the same way. Like, I wanted to succeed in my career so early on. Yes, I got into management in my early 20s. I was a mom, I was a wife. I was doing things in my church, I was mentoring women, I was still hanging out with my girlfriends. But what I was failing to realize during those times is, when you have so many things, when you're having it all, something else doesn't get as much attention as it could if we weren't wearing so many hats. So I think that, like, okay, for instance, there was this lady, I didn't care for her. So when I got my first management position at the phone company, it was a temporary position, and I was a training manager. And eventually we ended up having a hiring freeze. So I taught new hire classes. They were 10 to 12-week classes. Taught new hire classes. So when the hiring freeze ended, I didn't have anybody to train. I could do in-house training, like if we had new products or things like that coming in, but that was just like, here and there. So I had the option to either not have a job, or I could go back to being a service rep, which was on the phones, like, talking to people about their accounts and things like that. And of course I was like, oh, okay, I need a job. Like, yeah, I'll go back, because eventually I'll, be able to go back once the freeze is off. But we ended up getting a new second line, which is like a manager above my manager. And she came in like, haven't been out of the workforce for 20 years, y'all. Thought she was about to dictate some stuff, which is when I ended up leaving. But however, that's a whole nother story. So, but what she did was, I mean, she had a degree and all that kind of stuff. And she had a career, but when she got married and started having kids, she chose to stay home with her kids, and they were in a financial position where they could do that. So then after her last child graduated high school, she wanted to come back into the workforce, which, hey, it's nothing wrong with that. But I just didn't care for the way that she did things. But she is not my point. The situation is my point. So she chose to, and they were in the position to, where she was able to, stay home with her children and really be there to raise them, and really give her attention to them and taking care of her home. And back then we made that such a bad thing. I stayed home with my kids for 4 years. And I mean, I'm telling you, I got the little flack, like, what you doing? And, da, 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 and your kids in school all day. And da, da, da. So, but I was really able to like pour into my children during those 4 years. So she did the same thing, but I didn't understand it. I was like, you ain't been nothing, but you've been at home. Like, you've been at home. You don't know nothing about what's going on here. So don't try to bring your 2 cents in, right? But as I got older, and I strengthened my walk with the Lord, I began to see that in a different way, because when I chose to stay home with my children, I noticed the difference. And so what I'm saying is, when we're trying to have it all, we need to be seeking the Lord to find out what our portion is, what the all is for us. Because anytime I'm going to tell you something, I'm not going to give you the worldview. I'm always going to give you the view that is going to be most biblical, or from for what I understand God is saying to us as women. I can't speak for men because that's not my calling. So our pursuits many times of having it all are just that, they're our pursuits. They're a lot of times vanity. They're what we want, but we never sought out the Lord to say, God, is this what you have for me? And it's because we've been trained that way. When, we were coming up, the main thing that was, said to us was, you got to go to school, got to get a degree. And thankfully in California, you didn't really need a degree to go far in life. You really didn't. Thank you, Jesus. But especially on the East Coast and in the South, they were really trained like, you go to high school, then you graduate, you get a degree and whatever, and then you climb the corporate ladder, and then you hopefully find somebody by the time you finish climbing the corporate ladder, and then you try to start a family in your 30s. And I have someone that I know, and him and his wife, they did those. You're ripping that commercial. They did those things, and there's nothing wrong with pursuing a career. So please don't understand me wrong. Like, I have a girlfriend from Honduras, and she always be like, don't understand me wrong. Don't understand me wrong. So don't understand me wrong. There's nothing wrong with having a career. What I'm saying is, it has to be the career God has for you, and in the timing and season that He has for your life. So a friend of mine, they chose the career path, right? And they're both extremely successful in their careers. I mean, extremely successful. So I'm trying to stop saying so. In their mid 30s, 37 to be exact, 36, 37, they tried to start having children. Well, what happened was they weren't able to. They had a really hard time having children. And then they went through, the IVF 3 times. Fourth time, she got pregnant. They ended up having twins. Praise God. Twins are healthy. They're, I don't know, like 7 now, something like that, around 7, 8. And because they both have these high powered careers, then they had to get a live-in nanny. And it's just I don't want to say a disconnect, because I don't want to make it sound like nannies are a bad thing. But I believe that God would have us in place to raise our children, if at all possible. God wants us there. Their gifts, He gave them to us to raise. He wants us raising our children. He doesn't want other people raising our children. Now, it's one thing, things happen. Like, for instance, before me and my husband got married, I got pregnant at 19. I was a single mom, so I was working at the phone company. My grandmother thankfully came out from Ohio to California and stayed with us she stayed until my oldest daughter was 1, I think. She was like 1.5. And then she went to preschool at 2. And not everybody is fortunate enough to be able to, send for their grandmother and they could just drop everything and come, to have that nurturing, to have that. So this is what I'm really trying to get at, y'all, because I'm saying so many different things. I'm sorry. When I was talking about the downfall of the women, let's bring it all back full circle. These women are in hot pursuit of these power positions. And I'm not sure that they're pursuing them for the right reasons. I believe, especially some of the ones I'm looking at, Father help them, that they're part of I can do everything a man can do. You ain't going to tell me what I can't have. But now I definitely do believe in, if you're doing the same job as anybody else, everybody need to be getting paid equal. I'm a proponent of that. So don't understand me wrong. If you're doing a job and somebody else doing a job, then y'all need to be getting the same A pay. So thank the Lord for grandmother. Yes, Jesus. She's gone on to glory, but thank you. Thank you for being here, grandma. So I definitely believe in equal pay for whatever. But God designed us as women to be nurturers, to be a softer human, if that makes sense. Like, men are are to be masculine. We as women, we're not to be masculine. We're not to be wimpy. We're not to, because women are strong. We are strong in a different way than men, though. And God didn't design us to have the same type of strength as a man. He didn't design us even emotionally to take on the type of things that a man's shoulder is supposed to wear. And if you look at a lot of the sickness that women have and experience today, a lot of it is stress, but a lot of the stress is brought on by our own selves. Now, I am not saying that you have to be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, just being a housewife. Definitely not saying that. I love that era of, and I know I'm probably one of the few women who still love that era of when, you know, a family was the husband going out to work and the mom was really the homemaker and pouring into the children and volunteer. Because I used to love volunteering at my kids' school, volunteering at the kids' school, and really being available to raise them in the way that God would have them to be raised. I think when the schools and the communities and society and culture is raising our children, what we see today is what we get, as opposed to when the moms and a good community of people and we had a real connectedness. When that was the culture, people just turned out better. Like, I mean, that's just statistically proven. They just turned out better. And I think we, for our own selfish gain, I know when I was a hairstylist, definitely for sure, because that money was good. It was just good money. And I enjoyed doing what I was doing. And I loved talking to the women every day and we sharing our stories. And this was my own selfish pursuit because I mean I had a booming clientele, and at some point I even had cut down my clientele when the Lord kind of got on me because I was working like later hours, you know, when I should be at home with my family. That was just the bottom line, but I didn't because I was like, stay here and get this extra couple $100. But when the Lord really started breaking me in that area, I ended up cutting down my work week, and I was working Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and every other Saturday, because I would find myself like rushing to my daughter's basketball games and trying to hurry up and get there for her school stuff and just really not putting them first. Again, I didn't have to do that. I was doing that because the world was telling me I got to have money. I got to have a big house. I got to have this kind of car. I got to live in this neighborhood. I got to, you know, do all these things to feel good about myself. And I fell into that trap. You know, we wanted to give our kids the best of everything, and we did. But really, all they needed was us. They really just wanted us, to be quite honest, because half the stuff we gave them and did for them, they probably don't even remember. They probably don't even remember. Like, of course, they might remember like the trips, but like all that other stuff that we wasted money on that we could have been putting in an account for them, they don't remember that stuff, you guys. Right, 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 right. So the answer is saying yes, like my mother-in-law, her mom, that it made a difference growing up. She was always there at home and and up at the school, right? Because she didn't play. You're not gonna be up at the school clowning. That's what you're not gonna do. And sometimes a single mom can't do that. They don't have that luxury of being able to, you know, be like a friend of mine. He mentors this young man, and he's really kind of taking him on as his godson. And the mother, she works like a lot of hours, and she has the kind of job where she can't just be like, oh, okay, I'm not coming in today because I got to go up to my son's school. I got to do this. I got to do that. Thankfully, they have the kind of friendship that he is able to really step in and be there for this young man. Like from the time he was born up into he's 14 now. I mean, my friend has really like stepped it up and really been a dad to him. But just think if he wasn't available to do that for her because she doesn't have flexibility on her job, so she would be missing out on everything. And that's why I try to tell these young women it's it's a hard truth. And even though like I've tried to tell my own kids, like my own daughters, you know, just wait. Just wait. It's hard being a single mom, even though I only did it for 3 years because me and my husband ended up getting married. But it is so hard being a single mom. And some people don't have the support. Some people don't have like the grandmas and the aunties and the things like that. These young ladies are out here having it so hard. And so their children suffer because they gotta work. They gotta be able to put a roof over their children's head or child's head. And then so what are they being told? Go get you a degree so you can get a better job, so you can have a better future to provide for your child. So then the cycle begins all over again. I try to tell these young ladies, but they don't listen. I didn't listen. They don't listen. They don't listen. I say, just wait. Just wait. Even aside from what the Bible tells us, because I talk to young ladies who are not believers, but I hope and pray that what I pour into them will eventually lead them to Christ. But I tell them, just wait. There is nothing wrong with saving and preserving yourself for the right person. First of all, you're going to be breaking down your body anyway with all these multiple partners. That's another story. We can talk about that today. But just wait. Just wait, because and not that marriage is even a guarantee that the father of your children is going to be there, because we see marriages that end in divorce. But at least try to start out with your two-parent home so that you have the support. You're able to say, hey, okay, I can't get the kids today, you get the kids today. Or put yourself in a position, if you are working and you're in your career, that you can say, hey, my child have a program today. I need to be, because one thing they'll tell you, like, I would never, like, not when I was in corporate America, they knew, like, I'm going to all my kids' stuff. And I'm not working when they on Christmas break, when they on spring break. And I can tell y'all what I should do in the summer to get off for the whole summer, because I should have been doing that. But because I was like, my kids out of school for the summer, I can't work. However, when I started doing hair, that was different. And then it's like the culture of hair, the industry, the beauty industry. It's a beast, you guys, and it sucks you in, and you kind of become something different. Like, I was a very different person when I was a hairstylist, and my values and the things that I want and the things that were important to me when I was in that world were very, very different. And when I got out of the industry and took a step back, I was like, who was I? Like, I was a likable person. I wasn't like some horrible person, but my aspirations were so different, and many of them ungodly. I'm just like, thank you, Jesus. Now, I did, when I came out of the hair industry for the second time, like, I got a hairline fracture in my L5, so I can't, like, stand up doing hair. But God will do what He needs to do, right? So many young ladies, even in the church, are choosing to have babies in, you probably mean, on their own, and they seem proud of it. hmm Because our culture has trained them to believe that it's okay. And the thing about it is, we never want to shame anybody. Like I said, I had a daughter, my first daughter. Me and my husband had her before we got married. So I don't want to ever want to shame a young lady, but we have celebrated it in a way that when I think a young lady is hurting on the inside, or if they maybe don't have that nurturing from home, we will look for that outside of the house. And of course, how does the enemy present? He is going to give you the love that you feel like you're missing, or the attention that you feel like you're not getting in your home. You're going to look for it outside, and it's always temporary. It's always a quick fix, just enough to suck you in. The enemy knows what to present for you to make you go for it and feel like it's filling you up. You feel like, yes, okay, now I'm whole. When, of course, we only need the Lord to make us whole. But we young, we don't know that. Even in the church, we don't know that. We just go to church, probably out of tradition or fun. Because, these churches now, they just fun. I'm so sick of church today. That's another story. We might talk about that next time. I'm so sick of church today. But anyway, so I don't think that the young ladies are being and that's another thing. There's a scripture, I don't know what it is, maybe, Susan, I know you always got a Bible handy if you could look it up, where it tells us that we, as the older women, I'm an older woman, are really supposed to be training the young women. We're supposed to be pouring into the young women. How do they know what to do and where to go and how to do it if we are not telling them? But we're not telling them because we're not doing that. Like I do that in a lot of instances, but I'm talking about the overarching society as a whole of women. They are not training the young women up, first of all, in the ways of the Lord. They're being trained in the ways of the world. And the people who are speaking into them are these celebrities whose lives are so contradictory to the principles of God, but also to celibacy or waiting or keeping your virginity, abstinence. These celebrities and stuff, they doing the exact same thing that these young ladies are doing. So the young ladies think that it's okay because they're definitely being applauded for all their bad behavior. And I'm not saying every celebrity has bad behavior. We all as people have a certain bad behavior. However, theirs is highlighted and celebrated. So if I have a sin that ain't good, you know, my small community around me, might know about it. And fortunately for me, the kind of community I have is going to pour into me and say, girl, we're going to pray over you. We got to get this right. We're going to get this out of your life. I don't have the kind of friends that's going to be like, okay, that's right. You deserve it. Go on, do it. I don't have those kind of friends. I did back in the day. I don't have those kind of friends no more. So these celebrities are getting all these accolades. They're doing all this stuff. And so these young women are like, I want to be just like that. When do we get to the point where they want to be just like us? Where they want to be like, I want to worship the Lord. I want to serve God. I want to save myself until marriage. I want my life to be a reflection of Christ. I want to do it his way because his way, not that it's always easy, but his way is always best. Not even better. It's best. His way is always the absolute best. But we don't get it until we get bopped over our head like 6,000 times. Let me get a let me get a sip. So let's bring it back on again. I feel like I need to stop having maybe a topic because I just want to talk about all kind of stuff. I be want to talk about all kind of stuff. And because I have a topic, I keep trying to bring it back to the main. I keep trying to bring it back to the main topic. Okay, so this is what I would admonish you to do. We might be short today because I have a lot of stuff to do today and I want to go see the baby again. He's so cute, y'all. So I think it is our responsibility to not wink at the things that we know are not good and healthy for us as women. When the spirit leads you, let it go. When the spirit leads you, let it go. That's right. That's right. But I think we as women need to reevaluate our motives for why we do what we do so that we can honestly tell it to the next generation, that we can say it to, other young ladies and they don't think we're being fake or they don't say, okay, well, you did X, Y, and Z, but now you don't want me to. We have to be able to live lives that when we tell somebody something, our life aligns with what we're telling them. So even for instance, how I talked about, I had my first daughter, before I got married. Yes, I need to make them aware of that, but I need to make them aware that what I learned from that and why I'm telling you not to do it that way. We have to be able to be real. You guys, I talk a lot about transparency. We're always trying to save face. We are always trying to save face. Oh, you guys, I launched a podcast this week too. And I have episode 4 is talking about practicing perfection. So if you guys have time or you want to, I'm trying to keep the podcast episodes down to like 20 minutes. They are all available on wherever you guys listen to podcasts. But I made a link specifically for Spotify because I'm not an Apple user. I'm a Samsung girl. So it's CamilleNmore.com/Spotify. And that will take you straight to the podcast. They're also uploaded here on the YouTube channel. But listen to episode 4 about, practicing perfection, because we do that so much because we are so worried about what other people think. And I know, oh, thank you. I know as we get older, we say we don't care as much. I'm to the place where when I say that, like it's just for real. When I used to say it before, it was like in an honorary kind of way, like whatever. But now it's in a more genuine way. Like if I'm pleasing the Lord, I really don't care what anybody else says. I don't care what anybody else thinks. And we have to get to that place where we don't care what the world is doing. We want our lives to align with what God has for us. That way we can honestly tell someone else that your life can be everything that you want it to be if what your wants are in alignment with his purpose and his plan for your life. That's really the bottom line. Okay, hold on, let me take a sip, y'all. Okay, let me run back through my head, make sure that I made my point about. Mm, I did want to reiterate that again with the climbing of the corporate ladder, or the whatever kind of ladder it is, right? Um, when we have the wrong motives, I think when God places us in those positions, it's different because then He gives us a certain grace to be in those positions. But when we fight our way to the top for our own gain, for the look at me, or for the I told you I could do it, or for the praises, or for the salaries, or to look down on others, for whatever the reason it is that's not godly, you're not graced to be there. And I really, gosh, I wish you guys would hear me when I say this. I believe that's where a lot of our sicknesses comes from. I really, really do, because we have put ourselves in positions that God didn't grace us to be there for, and we can't take it. So remember 20 minutes ago when I was talking about how God gave the men a different kind of strength? He gave them the strength to be able to take on the things that come at him in the world in order to be the provision for the household, which is why God put us in a position to be home and available to be able to, you know, take some of the edge off of what they experience in the world. Again, I'm not saying that God is saying you can't work and have a career, but what I'm saying is your home needs to come first. There it is. Your home needs to come first. Your career can't be at the expense of your home. I'm sorry, I didn't write the book. I just read it. When and it has gotten a lot better, I think, for men over the years, as far as the things that they have to put up with and will put up with in order to make provisions for their families. I don't think it's anywhere near the amount of, especially because like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, there was a lot of physical hard labor. There was a lot, America was like, what is it, built for it tough? We were like industrial. So there was a lot of hard labor that came along with those paychecks. We see less and less of that these days, but I'm hoping that, we're bringing jobs back to America. That is my prayer, and that labor won't be as intense, because we do have a lot of machines that do a lot of the work that, you know, the man used to do. My dad worked for Ford, and retired from Ford, and was compensated well. He enjoyed this job, and worked his way up, through the ranks over the years. But we we as women, especially single women, I don't think our bodies are made to take on the pressures of the world and then try to come home and be everything that we need to be to our children. Eventually, we're going to break down. We are just going to break down. And if we're in the position where that is our life, I would admonish you to get in your word and ask the Lord to give you direction, because me and my girlfriend were talking about this yesterday on Marco Polo. God is the ultimate provision. That's the bottom line. We be thinking we got these like six-figure jobs and all this stuff, and we like, hot stuff, but you still couldn't have a job without God. Like it's he like, okay, you want to be silly and go and do this, for the money. Now it's different when you passionate about something and you doing something because you really love it and you making a difference. But when you just like, I if I didn't have this high powered job, I wouldn't still be doing this. That's the difference because some people in their careers, they would do it for free. They don't want to, like the money is a perk, but they are so passionate about what they're doing, they would honestly do it for free. And if you're in a position that you ain't saying that, I'm just saying, do the math. I'm just saying, do the math. But we were talking about this yesterday, how we think we really doing something, but God can do like amazing things for us and without our little money. Because this little money we be making ain't nothing compared to what God have. The provision of the Lord. So find your rhythm in what God has for your life. Let me tell you this real quick too. Okay, then I'm gonna get off y'all. This happened yesterday. My husband usually leaves around 7:30, 8 o'clock, depending on what time his, first client is. Okay. So he agreed to meet someone early, like at 7 in the morning. So he was leaving at like 6ish because he was going a little bit of a distance. So he's getting ready to leave. Normally, I get up, in the morning and we eat and have coffee and everything because he leave at a later hour. I don't want to do that at 6. So I'm still in the bed because I'm like, okay, I'm just chilling. He leaves, and as he's pulling out of our neighborhood, a fire truck is pulling in, and the lights were like blaring at him so hard because it was dark still that he had to stop. So when he realized, oh, it's a fire truck, and they stopped, and he saw the guy jump out, he tried to drive past, but there was a car parked on the opposite side of the street, like literally in line with where the fire truck was. So he couldn't get out. So he like, man, then someone else came behind him. So they both can't get out. So he gets out his car and he sees there's a gentleman on the curb and they're like giving him chest compressions, right? So it was like somebody that he had never seen before. He was like, it's not somebody, because we kind of know, the people in our neighborhood. And it was a young lady there that he had never seen before standing there. So he was like, hey, like, what's going on? And she was like, I don't know. And he was like, okay. So he tried to, ask the one of the fire people who wasn't actively working. And they were like, we just got a call about a man. So he comes back home. So he waited maybe like 30, 40 minutes. And he was like, well, let me walk around the corner and see if I can get out yet. So he walked around the corner and he still couldn't get out, but the gentleman had passed away. So they had, covered him. They had the tarp out and stuff. Now it's like sunlight or whatever. And, he came back and we were kind of thinking about it. So this is the thought that I want to leave you guys with. If you left today, would anything that you are doing actively be worth it? Like, would you be able to leave and be ready to meet the Father? Point blank. We we make all these plans, we do all these things, but if the things that we are doing, and again, not that God don't want us to have fun in life, because I'm all about fun, but if the things that we are doing are not purposeful in building the kingdom, can we really leave here and be satisfied with the legacy that we have left? I always, say, yes, the Bible tells us to leave an inheritance for our children. But I personally believe, yes, in addition to, of course, life insurance, or if you leave them some property or whatever, you have to leave them with Christ. Or else, that's the ultimate inheritance, right? If you leave them a whole lot of stuff, but you don't leave them Christ, have you really left them the true inheritance that the Bible tells us we need to leave? So me and my husband were talking about this thing, right? Because that guy, he didn't know he was going to die yesterday morning. And my husband had literally said, oh, if I would have just left 1 minute earlier, I would have made it to my appointment on time. Because of course he didn't know the gentleman was going to pass away. But he was like, oh, it's no telling why God had me not go. Maybe I wasn't supposed to go meet the lady this morning, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But life is so fragile. Life is so fragile. And you hear people say, okay, once I do this, then I'll relax. Once I get to this level, then I'll take a break. Then I'll. Don't wait for the then I will. Make it a point to do whatever it is you're supposed to be doing today. Just like you hear people, talk about how their parents worked, and they, have these businesses, and, they had the best of everything in life. Anything you could work for, they had it, but their father was always absent or their mother was always absent. They had all the monetary things, but they didn't have their parents. And then you will hear the person who worked to attain everything get to the end of their life many times and saying, what was it all for? Because they missed out on the birthdays, or they missed out, sometimes on the anniversaries, or they had a big business meeting conference and they had to be in Tokyo, or they had to be here. So they were missing, they traveled so much, or they had to stay at the office late every single night, missing dinner. Is it all worth it? Because the world told you you had to have $1 million home instead of a whatever, 250, 300, 400, I don't know, $1 million home, a $5 million home. You had to have, 3 cars, 5 cars instead of one, or maybe two if it's two of you guys. That your kids had to go to Harvard instead of community college and then a regular 2 year. Like what is it that the world has told you makes you successful? Makes you feel like you have arrived, you have attained, and that is your definition of having it all. Make sure your definition of having it all aligns with what God wants for you, and that you don't look back and regret how you got to the alls. So, y'all, that's honestly all I got today. That's it. So, if you guys have anything in the comments you guys want to share, you guys want to say before we hop off, I will stay on for a minute or two. And I hope this resonated. I know I was a little all over the place today because I didn't make any notes because I hadn't planned on having a baby yesterday. Having a baby yesterday. Mm, 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 mm. All right, y'all. Y'all ain't got no comments. Y'all ain't got no, what did I say? Questions, comments, and concerns. Thanks for sharing this goodness with us. You're welcome, lady. You're so welcome. He said, thank you for doing this. You guys, I appreciate you guys showing up. I got my few faithful that come on with me once a month, and I appreciate you guys. As long as you guys keep showing up, I will definitely keep showing up. I will always try to bring things that add value to your lives. And I'm really I'm really trying to go all in. I'm trying to go all in with everything that I do being focused on you as women. That's even what the new podcast is about. So the reason I decided to do the podcast, like I like to do the like the YouTube, like I do enjoy doing this, but um if any of you did listen to the trailer of the podcast, which I had put up a couple of days ago, the reason I decided to do the podcast is because I think we need to give our eyes a break. I started listening to podcasts more the last couple of months, and I enjoy it. Like I used to think like, oh, I like some visual. I don't really want to listen. I want to listen and see. But I have really found the podcast to be a little more, I guess, like relaxing, even if I'm listening to like a business podcast. I'm able to like take notes and not be focused on like how I move my hands around, like I'm doing. So if I'm listening to a business podcast, I can just listen and really hear what because I listen to women, really hear what she's saying, and I'm like, I can take my notes. I'm like, okay, yeah, I never thought about that. I can pause it and be like, okay, let me add something else to that, so I can think about how that affects me, what that means for me. Okay, I can start it back, listen to my podcast, or when I was walking, just be able to listen to my podcast. So I was nervous to do it, but I really did feel like the Lord put it on my heart to do it. And so I did it, so I was like, I'm just going to do it. And like I said, I think it's a benefit to not have the visual. So that's what the podcast is all about. Give your eyes a break. Give your eyes a break. We spend so much time on social media or watching TV or people watching or whatever it is, screen time at work, whatever it is, give your eyes a rest. So that is the point of the podcast. But it's the same type of discussion. Just little food for thought, to give you something to think about, to see if it will help your life or be applicable to you. Please share it with other women. I would really like to expand it. You can even share coffee and chat with other ladies since we do it live, to the public. Okay, what I have learned and learning is that what the world has conditioned me with was also in my heart. Yes, yes. So it was easy to drift off. I totally agree with that. Just like when I was talking about when I started doing hair. It was already in me that I wanted to have a lot of money, because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have been like, oh shoot, I'm gonna take 8 clients today. Oh shoot, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm gonna come in 5 days a week. Oh, you want to come in at 6? Okay, let me see if I can get the car to drop the kids off at school. Okay, y'all. You know what I'm saying? It was already in me that I just wanted to have a lot of money and make a lot of money, and that was my opportunity to do it. And so I started allowing my family to come second to that money. That had to already be in me for the enemy to be able to suck me in. So you right on point with that. Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get the okay. So then it takes the Holy Spirit to show me what is in my heart that may be against him. Exactly. He says, when I do computer based training, I turn on the reader and have them read it to me. I know that's right. Yes. Because I think that's why my eyes are feeling like, not like I'm going blind, but I just feel like my eyes are strained all the time now. Like my eyes are just fatigued. I have eye fatigue. Is that a thing? If not, it is now. I have eye fatigue, and I got to give my eyes a rest. Good stuff. I have to go back and see the beginning because I was late getting on. Okay. Oh, that's my sister. Hey, sissy. Okay, exactly, exactly. Okay, and Susan and Dee are saying hello to my sister. So yeah, okay, yeah, sister, go back and listen. And so yeah, you guys, that's all I got. If you guys are finished in the comments, I love you guys. We are going to continue to grow. I'm going to this conference in July for women. Dr. Lolita, have you heard of a conference called She Speaks? Is she still on? I wonder if she's still on. If you're still on, Dr. Lolita, let me know if you have heard of a conference called She Speaks. So I came across this conference. Um, okay, so were you on when LaShonda had Mary? Her last name starts with the M. Mary's. She wrote Underestimated. I ended up following her. Well, not following her. I ended up connecting with her on LinkedIn, and then going to her podcast. And I was listening to one of her podcast episodes because she had a woman on there who was from the Bay Area, and I'm from the Bay Area. So I listened, and they were talking about meeting at this conference called She Speaks. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to look up the conference because I had never heard of it. So it's in July. Look it up, Dr. Lolita, if you're interested. Yeah, Marantz, her. If you're interested in going, I did register this week. It looks like it's going to be really amazing for women creators, authors, podcasters, speakers, that kind of thing. It's put on by Lisa. I know I'm gonna butcher her last name, Lisa Turks. Dee, remember we did one of her Bible studies, Lisa Turks? It's a women's conference for like speakers and authors, and she is like over it. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. If you wanted to look into that, Dr. Lolita, to see if that's something you would be interested in, because I had a feeling you might have been on that call we did with LaShonda. Okay, so that's it, you guys, for real. That's all I got. I'm about to go get in here with my other granddaughter. We're gonna get our day started. Yeah, you read some of her books. So yes, okay, check it out. Check it out. Maybe I'll see you there. Because like I said, I registered this week. All right, you guys, let me get my outro up. And that is going to be it. You guys have a wonderful day. I'm gonna go see my grandbaby. Mm, mm. Where's my outro, y'all? Okay, here we go. All right, see y'all.